Hi friends, welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy. To paint the scene for you guys, I'm currently in New Orleans with our pals, Valeria and Katie. This is Valeria. And Katie, you guys met on episode 15. She and her husband, Jeff, are hanging out. We're about to go do touristy stuff today. And but that's where we're at right now. Josh is in his room, as always.
As always, no change. As always.
No change. How's it been going, Josh?
Not bad. I've had a bumpy week, but we can get into that whenever. A bit later.
Yeah. Do you want to... All right, let's spin a wheel. So, physical environment. What's your favorite room in your home and why?
My favorite room. Clearly my bedroom, because I never leave it, apparently. No, my favorite room is my kitchen. I'm very proud of my apartment. And I don't know if I've given you a tour. Have I ever shown you around?
No.
I'm not going to do it now, but I can do eventually. But yeah, my kitchen is like very high ceilings. It's very bright in there. It's not a particularly big kitchen, but it feels fucking massive. So yeah, I'm not a big cook, but like I feel drawn to go and cook in there. So that's my favorite room for sure.
Okay. We love that.
I think my favorite room in this house, it's hard to pick because, Josh, obviously you haven't seen this place, but it's like an open plan. Like from the living room, you can see the kitchen, you can see my bedroom. Like the only thing you can't see is like the bathroom. But it comes with this really awesome mud room that I've never had in a house before. And I love it. It's like the first impression that people get of my place. And I've worked really hard on making it like homey, and it's just a cute little spot leading into my house, and I've never had that. And it makes me so happy. I have an air freshener in there so that whenever anyone walks in, they get like, oh, this place smells good, this place looks nice, and it's just like homey.
It's really cute. And it's a nice space to like just get the world out and come into this
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds cute.
Yeah. I don't have a home right now, but if I were to talk about my Miami home, I'd probably say just the building was incredible. Like the building was awesome, and then the balcony, like I spent so much time out there. If I were to say my mom's house, I'd probably say my room, but yeah, that's that. I'm sorry, Josh, I never replied to your voice message. I marked it unread, so I would go back and respond to it, and I never did, and I truly apologize for that. But for the listeners, just so you know, like I always send Josh a voice message every Friday, and I have been for the last couple of years, but since traveling, I haven't, and he's been on my case about it. And this past weekend, he got a Friday and a Saturday message, which was finally
Special.
Special.
But special if you chose to reply to my message as well.
I'm
I see where
sorry.
your
I'm really
priorities
sorry.
lie, which is
In her defense, we have been so busy. Half of my text messages are unanswered as well, so...
how.
This
has
is
it
also
been?
from like a week ago, though.
Oh. I don't even know what day we're on.
Yeah, exactly. This is before she traveled.
Yeah, this was
I think, when you
before.
were in Arizona.
Yeah, I think it was when I was in Arizona. We had a nice chat about it. So, okay, let's get into how do we know Valeria?
I love this question. We went to summer camp together. Sasha was my camp counselor, technically, because I'm 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
And so I was, no showing your butt to people, kitty. I was like 15 or 16, and Sasha was 18, and it was her first year as a camp counselor. And I was put in her pod, in her little group. And actually, world is this big. Our other friend, Mary, I knew from outside of this world because I'm from Miami and I worked at the Miami Children's Museum. And Mary also worked there. And so I'd seen her around, but we had never really interacted that much because we were in different sections of the museum. And then I get there and she's like in this camp counselor shirt. And I'm like, how do I know this woman?
Yeah.
Like, I know her. And then she spots me and she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what are you doing here? And then we all went back every year and were counselors. I haven't been back in a while, in the
No.
last year or so.
The last year you went back was also the last year I went back.
Yeah, we haven't been back just because life changes and grows, and I was moving to Hawaii that year, and yeah, that's how we all know each other.
It's so funny because we had Mary on episode 13.
Oh, yes.
And it's really funny because everyone we have on this podcast, I guess it makes sense though, because everyone we would have on the podcast would be like a mutual friend of Josh and I, and all of our mutual friends are from.
Well, and I knew Josh before the camp.
I was about to
because
say,
I went to school with Josh's ex, and that's how she like introduced me to the camp world, because she went and we grew up together.
Okay.
I'd known her since I was like 2, and we grew up together. And she came back and she was like, "You need to go next year. You need to go." And then she was talking about this guy named Josh that she met, and now here we are.
Here we are, like a decade later.
Literally.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh my God, literally.
Do you think that we would be friends or as close if it wasn't for her?
I think we would.
I think
I think we would, because I think we developed our own friendship outside of the relationship.
I agree.
I don't think it was one of those, oh, I'm only friends with Josh because she's dating him. I think it was like we developed a real connection. I developed a real connection with your sisters too. I mean, I'm still friends with Nico, and we had a friendship outside of that as well. So, no, I definitely think, regardless, we would have been at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Who's Nico?
The other guy from Miami, I can't remember if that was before or after you.
Yeah, right. No, I remember Nico. Yeah, anyway, we won't get into that.
I don't remember a Nico, but it's fine.
No, maybe it's best not to talk about that on the podcast.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's history.
It's
His
history.
It's done.
History.
See you never. Next.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway.
Josh, what's happening? Your week's been bumpy. I know. Okay, so last voice message you sent me, you had a little tiff situation, which I don't know if you want to talk about publicly or not, but I can always cut this out, but you had a disagreement with Savita over, you had a little fight situation, and you voice messaged me like right after. About your mom making lunch. You didn't FaceTime her family.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I can get into that. That's fine.
Well,
So
how
she
has this
was-
week been for you? Like, what's
well,
happening?
it's been it's been a good week. Generally speaking, I've been doing pretty well mentally, which is a massive change on the last couple of months because,
Yes.
well, I mean, we've already spoken about this a couple of times. The weather has been better, and naturally, my mental health has skyrocketed. So clearly, it is seasonal depression. We've established that now. Next year, don't let me get depressed. Just remind me that it's the sun.
It was literally me this whole time. For 2 weeks, I'm so depressed. I'm like, you get like this every year.
Okay, actually, can I interject, Josh? One thing that helped for me this year, because it very much happens here too, where it'll get cold and cloudy and rainy and sad, is after the winter solstice, so after December 21st, every single day we get 1 minute more of sunlight. And so I have a sunset thing on my watch, and it was such a joy to look down every single day and see that number go up for like how much sun we were gonna get, and it changed the game completely.
That's such a good idea, actually.
That's a really
Give you
good
hope.
tool.
No, and it every single day I would look down and I'd be like, 1 more minute. And then some days it would even jump up to 2 or 3 more minutes. Once like winter progressed, and now that we're closer into January and closer into spring, I look at my watch, and now it's up to 5:10, and I'm like, this is amazing.
I actually love that. I think I'm gonna start starting to get brighter and brighter every day, noticeably now. Like before the last couple of weeks, it was still very gloomy, so it wasn't particularly noticeable. It makes such a big difference. Just seeing the sun, seeing blue skies every day as well, which is so rare in the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really helped. But mental health's been good. But relationship, as I mentioned, or as you just mentioned, Savita got a little bit upset that we spend so much time with my family, but actually I've only spoken to her parents on the phone once, because obviously they're based in India. There's a time difference. It's difficult because like after work, they're in bed, so we can't talk during the week. So the only time we can talk, generally speaking, is weekends. So we had, yeah, I wouldn't say disagreement, but she just got upset that we are almost a year into our relationship now and haven't really built any kind of a relationship with her parents. They're coming to visit next month, and she was like, she really hoped by the time they got here that we would be like besties, and that's just not happened. The way I'm seeing it is like, become besties when they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can maintain a regular, cool relationship afterwards. Ironed it out. I made a commitment to talk to them on the phone at least twice this month before they come. So that's fine. I had my big job interview yesterday,
How'd it go?
well, so I need to preempt a little bit. I was this close to canceling. Almost let the fear of rejection get in the way. And I managed to catch it and realize that it was the fear of rejection. But I was trying to justify all these reasons as to why I don't need this job, why I don't want this job, why it's not the right fit for me. Actually, I established that deep down, it was just coming from a place of, if I reject them, they can't reject me. So I caught it quite late yesterday. I was honestly like an hour before I was going to cancel it. And then I did a bit of reflection. I meditated and I was like, actually, this would be really stupid. And I would only be letting myself down. So I did it and I fucking smashed it.
Hell yeah.
Period.
It was honestly like, I don't think I've ever done such a good interview. I interview really well generally, but it was just completely flawless. So that was good. And then I got myself really excited about the job. And then the last 24 hours, I've been so fucking anxious about waiting to hear from, even though I know I did well and I'm sure I've done enough to get the job. Like, I've been refreshing my emails literally every 5 minutes all day today, and they haven't come back to me. It's
Well,
stressing me the fuck out.
Did they say they were going to get back to you today?
No, they did. They didn't give
Okay.
me a time frame.
Because
Give it like a week.
that's amazing. First of all, we were having this conversation yesterday
Yeah.
about job interview because
Mhm.
when I first moved back to New Orleans, I was just like working at a boutique part-time because I was working at a nonprofit part-time and I was trying to find a full-time. And I was interviewing, smashing all the interviews, not getting a single job offer. And it was so hard on my self-esteem. And on the last interview that I did, same thing. I literally came this close to canceling, but I was like, no, I'm desperate. Like, I literally can't afford to cancel this job. And what I did was, instead of writing down my anxieties of, I'm scared that this is going to happen, I'm scared that this is going to happen, I'm scared of this, I literally, like, at the top, I said, what's the best that could happen? And then I wrote down the best case scenario. And I wrote, I'll crush this interview, I'll get this job. But specifically, like, I'll show my knowledge about XYZ. I won't say and whatever. And I just wrote down. And then at the end of it, I was like, and I will get this job. And this is the only job that I did this for. Crushed the interview. And so much so that they even alluded to an offer. But they were like, we'll be in touch really soon. The next day, I emailed them and I was like, thank you so much for the interview. Like, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you need anything. Day after that, I get an email back saying, thank you, we'll be in touch soon. And the way that they were phrasing everything was like they were hiring immediately. Then 3 weeks went by in like radio silence. And so
Okay.
then finally I like built up the courage. I hadn't emailed them because I was like, no news is good news. Because my fear was that I was going to email them and they were going to be like, sorry, you didn't get it. So I finally built up the courage. Literally 3 hours after I emailed them, they were, oh my goodness, we're so sorry. This must have gotten lost like on our to-do list. No, you got this job. Like, we're going to offer you, like, we're going to give you an offer. Right? So 3 weeks of waiting.
Wow.
So
Patience.
you crushed it. Sometimes no news is good news.
Yeah, true. I think with this job, so the first interview I did for it last week, I said to Sasha that I thought I did so badly. Like, I hung up on the call and I was like, well, that went fucking terrible. Like, I thought it went so badly. And then literally the next day they emailed me and said, we want to meet you for a final round interview, sales presentation kind of thing, which is what I did yesterday. And then I'm like, it went so well yesterday. It was like the opposite of the first one. Could I be deluding myself? I don't know.
Oh,
That's
no.
No, absolutely not. Because you know what? You might have thought that it went bad, but your interviewing skills are so good that what's bad for you is good on another person, on like on another level, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your bad is still pretty good compared to others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
True. So I'm sure it was fine. I did send an email this morning to them.
That's
I
fine.
was,
That's
and
fine.
I
Like a
just
thank
said,
you.
I think it went really well yesterday. Thank you for organizing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what
really
you're
keen
supposed to
hear from
do.
you. That
Yeah, like a nice follow-up.
yeah, that's what
Okay.
I did. I sent 2 follow-ups actually. And then when they didn't respond, I was like, "Yo, hello," which I don't recommend.
No, okay, all right. I'll refrain from
Well,
doing
if
that. But it
3
worked
weeks
out for
go
you.
by, I just sent an email saying, "Hey, I'm just following up. Was this position filled?" So that I don't keep waiting on it. I wasn't like, "What the hell is up, bro?" But
Okay.
I'm sending you all the good vibes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the 4th round or something.
Well, it was so. This was the third round, the third and
The
final
3rd round. Okay.
the thing that I did get through to the fourth round for was the pilot, to become a pilot, if you remember.
Right.
Okay.
And I got my rejection for that today. So,
Oh,
which is fine.
you were
I
meant to
don't
be a
really,
pilot.
I don't really care
Yeah.
that much about it. I wasn't.
Sometimes when we get on the pod, Josh is like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna be a pilot, or I'm gonna be a school teacher, or whatever." Just okay, do it.
It's called a quarter life crisis, so I'm allowed to do that.
Some people's quarter life crisis is drug addiction, so it's
Well,
for. I don't think
You're
you're
not addicted. You're not addicted. You just like to partake.
Yeah. Well, some people's quarter life crisis is like,
Blowing up their whole life and traveling one way around the
oh
entire
my
world.
lord, you guys are so no. That's a good. These are good approaches to quarter life crises. Okay, these are good
it's true.
approaches.
It's true.
Your approach to a quarter life crisis is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're totally fine.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so good to know that career is like making strides, mental health is making strides. Relationship has been a little bumpy in the last week, but you like on the up and up.
Yeah, and then physical
Also with
health.
the
Sorry, go on.
with the family thing, I'm like just coming back to it. I wonder because like when you're talking to somebody on the phone or FaceTiming someone that you don't know, it is like very awkward and strange to be like, small talk, blah blah blah. I wonder 2 things. Number 1, is there a way that you can make the calls more meaningful beyond small talk? Like for example, like the We're Not Really Strangers card game. Could you pull that out and like, play some cards over FaceTime to get to know them better? But also I'm wondering if there's a way that you guys can build a relationship like outside of FaceTime, because it is like a little awkward and weird with FaceTime. Like just as an example, but like you don't have to use this one obviously. Like Duolingo, you can have friends on Duolingo and it's something to connect with over like instead of FaceTime, just not instead of FaceTime, but in addition to be like, oh yeah, like I see you're doing your Spanish, whatever. It gives you another way to connect outside of this could be very awkward FaceTime situation.
Yeah, possibly. I think one way that I could do that is I need to learn their language because her mum barely speaks English, so that would help. It's a very obscure language that not many people speak, but I think maybe not doing classes, but maybe getting them to teach me in a
Yeah.
way. Like we could do something to do with that. I think that's not a bad idea.
I
Yeah.
think a big thing is like proximity. Like you said, like you will be besties, and there's no doubt about that. Like living here, Evan's mom is only 45 minutes away.
Who's Evan for the listeners?
Evan is my boyfriend of 4 years. I love that man. I can't think about him too much or I'll cry. Anyway.
So his mom lives 45 minutes
His
away.
mom lives 45 minutes away, and we hang out with her all the time. Like, I call that woman my best friend. To like they've heard me say it over and over again, but that's because she lives here, and we hang out with her a lot. He's really close to his mom, and we hang out with her a lot, and it's really great. Whereas my family has only met him maybe 2 or 3 times, and like they get along with him and they like him. But for example, my sister's boyfriend is on the opposite. He lives in Miami, so he's really close to my family. They know him a lot more. Right? So it is like a proximity thing. And like there's nothing wrong with Evan, and they have no problem with Evan. They just don't know him as well as they know Caleb. And then, well, like vice versa, my stepdad actually kept saying, and he's gonna take a trip out here to Louisiana to meet Evan and Evan's family, to like close that gap of proximity, right? So it's like there is only so much that you can do while you're apart. And I do think like maybe trying to learn the language, or maybe getting your girlfriend to like give you some interest of, you know, what they might be interested. Well, that's what I'm doing with my stepdad coming. I know that he's a big hunter, he's a big fisher, and I know Evan's dad and grandpa are big hunters and big fishers. So I'm just like putting a bug in each of their ears of like, oh, you know, this guy really likes this guy really likes this, so that when they're here, they have something to talk about and common ground to meet on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a good idea. All right, that's my conversation today with Savita. I need to get an understanding of their hobbies, of what they
Yeah,
like.
it's like you don't even have to, that way when they're together, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, he likes this and he likes this, and now you've given them a subject to talk about and it's like awkward small talk. You just put the bug in their ear and say, oh, maybe we should go out fishing while you're here. Random thought. Do you guys like fishing?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I like that.
What's happening with the physical health?
Physical health hasn't been great over the last week. I've been eating a lot of shit. I will say, I am 3 months now clean from hard drugs. Okay.
Hell yes, Josh.
And when I say hard drugs, the stuff
Yeah.
I was doing last year, right? I don't need to get into that. So 3 months clean from that, but my commitment was no hard drugs until the summer. And then psychedelics
Until Burning
I'm
Man.
allowed until Burning Man, exactly, which I still haven't fucking heard back from because my boss has been off sick this week, but I will chase it.
Please chase it, please.
I will.
I'm starting
I
to
will.
plan.
Yeah, no, I know. I'll figure it out. So nothing until the summer, and then psychedelics in the meantime. So I'm allowing myself just dabbling here and there.
Yeah.
So on Saturday I went to a rave, like my second or third of the year. So I've been pretty good on that front, not really going too much. And I took a tab, right? Just one tab, and I was like, this is going to be enough. I'm just going to have a good time, chill with my friends, party with my friends. After like 30, 40 minutes, I was feeling absolutely fucking... And I'm sure you can see where this is going, because this is like a classic horror story. So I stupidly, in all my wisdom and all of my experience, I thought it would be a good idea to take a second one, even though you should wait at least an hour if you're not feeling anything. So I took a second one, and literally 5 minutes after I took the second one, the first one hit me like a fucking train.
Oh, man.
And then after maybe 30 minutes more, I was in a different world. I was smelling colors. It wasn't pleasant. Like to some people it might sound cool and like a fun experience, but I felt really sick. Like it was just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So that was really stupid. And the reason I'm bringing that up now on the physical health topic is that it really just, I think it was a bit of an eye-opener as to how self-destructive I can be when it comes to drugs. And it's luckily no come down because it's a psychedelic. It's not going to give me any neurotoxicity, which is why I'm allowing myself to do this year. But it was like, one should have been enough and I should have been better. And instead, I really ruined my evening. I ruined my night because I wanted to feel something. And that was an eye-opener in many ways, I think, to do with how destructive I am, but also to do with just kind of making me think why I take these things, why I do drugs in the first place. Like, why can't I have fun without them? And I can, of course I can. But I think in my head, I'm telling myself I can't. Like that night, I should have just settled and thought, okay, it's not working, I'll leave it. Avoid the risk, but I didn't because I really wanted to feel something, and that was a little bit scary, I think, to think about afterwards. So, yeah, that's where I am. That's been my week.
To be honest, I feel like more as your friend, accountability partner, whatever, the thing that concerns me more than the drug is the food, especially considering this health crisis you had a couple weeks, months ago, whatever. With the diet, it's, yeah, you're already doing really, really well with not doing like hard substances anymore. And you're doing well with that. And like, yeah, you made a mistake and that happens, whatever. The thing that concerns me is the food situation, where I would hate to see you slide back to where you were and then literally go through another health crisis again. So it's just like, keep an eye on that and really watch it, because it's like that's something that you dealt with in the past and recently too. And like falling back there is very, very easy.
Very.
I can like relate. Obviously, it's not the same. Like I can relate on a more minuscule level in terms of that need to like feel it, if that makes sense. I gave up drinking January of 2024. So then I hadn't drank for pretty much a whole year. And that was because New Year's Eve of 2023 to 2024, I got so wasted that it was so traumatizing. So I just pretty much didn't drink at all. This year, I've been letting myself drink a little more, but obviously it's Mardi Gras. And so I was like, okay, you know what? We can drink a little. Like, I know my limits. Like, I know that because I haven't been drinking, my tolerance is not as great. And I've actually gotten to a point where I almost prefer to be the sober one. I don't really care to be drunk. And so I would give myself, and I was driving too, so I'd just give myself one margarita at the beginning of the night. And like by 5 hours later, obviously it's out of my system. But on Saturday, nobody was driving. And so and Saturday's like a full day event here. And I was like, you know what? I can give myself a little more. And so I think I had like maybe 2.5 margaritas, like literally crazy. But I like, it hadn't hit me at all, and then it hit me all at once. And I remember I was like just sitting there like staring at the ground, and I was like, I haven't been this drunk in so long, and I'm scared because I don't feel like in control. Like I don't like this feeling in my body. And again, I wasn't even that drunk. Like it's 2 margaritas. Like I was nowhere near inebriated, right? But I'm just like, I'd gotten so used to that feeling of control in my body that it's just like this like raging anxiety. I was like on the verge of tears, and Evan had to sit down and be like, hey, it's okay. Like we're all here together. Let's drink water for the next 30 minutes. Like it's nothing but a thing. But then later that night we had an incident where one of his friends got into a fight, and these people like followed us, and we were coming back to my apartment, and they kind of like ambushed us in an alley. And I'm just like standing there with a folding chair as a weapon, crying like typical woman in distress. And the thing is, like, in this case, being a woman in distress worked in the sense that the men who ambushed us realized that there was a wailing woman there, and they were like, all right, like backing off. And we truly think that if I hadn't been there screaming, crying, they probably would have just jumped my boyfriend and his 2 friends. But typically I'm not the woman in distress. Like typically I'm like the I'll hit you first, don't come at me sort of person. But I think because of the alcohol in my system and like the anxiety that I was feeling earlier, I was literally just standing there holding this chair like like sobbing. And it was terrifying. And like the whole weekend that they've been here, I haven't really been drinking because of how stressful that whole scenario was. So, and this is obviously nothing compared to an acid tablet, but like that feeling of like, being out of control, and then something happening, it's just it's scary. Like it's stressful, and you just want to be out of it, and you want to be like you want your body to just repel, and you can't. You have to sit in it.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. And also for something like that to happen while you're in that state, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
How would you say like life is going? Because that was a really scary experience. Yeah. In general, what areas are going well? What areas are not going well for you right now?
I feel very happy with my life right now. I'm finally feeling some stability. For the listeners, I just moved back from Hawaii. I was in Hawaii for a year, which was amazing. It was an insane experience. But I think before Hawaii, all I craved was uncertainty. Like when I was in high school, I loved the idea of leaving Florida. I just wanted to leave, and it excited me to not know where I would end up. And then I ended up in New Orleans, and then same thing when I was a senior in college. Like it really excited me to, like where am I going to be in a year? And that was a concept, hi buddy, that was really exciting for me. And then I ended up in Hawaii, and that was amazing. And I experienced this extreme level of uncertainty, and it made me realize, wow, like I've experienced enough. Like, I've experienced enough uncertainty. And that's not to say that I don't crave it, but I don't think it's like my primary need anymore.
You might get it through other ways that are a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was so amazing. It was so amazing to be in Hawaii and experience that uncertainty and realize I've experienced the uncertainty that I've wanted out of this stage of my life, and now I crave some certainty, some true certainty. I don't want to wonder where I'm going to be in a year anymore. And so when I moved back, it was almost not a rush to get to that, but like I'm back and I was back, and for a period of 6 months I was still experiencing like very extreme uncertainty because like I said, I was only working part-time at this nonprofit, and sure, I was doing what I loved, but it wasn't paying the bills. So then I was having to work at this boutique, which I'm the kind of person, yes, I will bloom where I'm planted, or grow where I'm planted, whatever the phrase is, but it's still, this isn't what boutiquing is not my passion. And so I was really struggling. Okay, bye. So I was really struggling to find value in that. And so the job hunt was so defeating. I was looking for a job for 6 months before I was able to get one. But it all kind of like came together at one time. I remember in December, I jokingly to my boyfriend, I was like, all I want for Christmas is a job. And I just kept repeating that. And almost, I feel like with manifestation, you have to believe it, you have to feel it. And it was one of those things that like in my little heart of hearts, I all I wanted for Christmas was a job. And that's around the time, Thanksgiving was around the time that this job, like that I started interviewing for this job. And the day that I was at the boutique, I remember that morning I told Evan, I was like, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I don't know how much longer I can be doing this. That was the day that I got the job offer.
Mm-hmm.
That was the day I got the job offer, and I like fell to my knees and cried. I was like, and it was interesting because this is the job offer that, you know, I'm a big believer in beggars can't be choosers. Stick your foot in the door and then go up from there. I wasn't going to turn down any job that came my way. It was interesting that this is the job that like was the highest position and the highest paid of all the ones that I interviewed for, right? So it was kind of like, okay. And the whole time that I was going through the process, I was like, you're not going to not get a job. Like, this is going to line up for you at some point. Just keep going. And so then that happened. And then I was training for another marathon while I was doing that. And that was the first time, not the first time, but the first time that I had been so consistent in my training. And so I was just like feeling great on that end of things. And I had just signed my lease. Mind you, I signed my lease before getting the job. So it was like, you're going to have to find a way to pay for this place anyway. So it all kind of like aligned at one point, like at the same time. And it's just, I feel so blessed. I feel so grateful for the life that I'm living now, because it's like, I feel like when I was in Hawaii, it almost felt like everything was on pause in terms of my life, because I knew that I was only going to be there temporarily, and I was experiencing these things, which was amazing. It was the most amazing experience, and I miss it every day. But I'm so grateful to be like building a foundation in my life now. And I'm just like, even when I'm having trouble at work, for context, my boss isn't the most savvy, for lack of a better phrasing. But even with that, I'm like, I remind myself, this is what you were dreaming of 6 months ago. You are in the place you dreamed of 6 months ago. Like, how amazing is that? And I'm just feeling very, very blessed. I'm like at a point in my life, at a stage in my life where I'm in a place that I've never been in before, where I can pay my bills and not have to choose between dinner and rent. I'm at a place where I can host my friends, and like I'm feeling very, very grateful to be alive.
That makes me
This is what we needed.
Yeah.
This is the energy we need.
My birthday's coming.
Yeah, Valeria's birthday is in 2 days.
In 2 days. And I was actually just talking to Jeff about this morning. Like, growing up, I hated my birthday. I always cried. I was like, woe is me, pity party of one. And now I'm like, no, my birthday's the best day of the freaking year, man. Like, I'm so happy to be alive. And it's like crazy to think about, because not even 2 years ago, like, I had to be on all sorts of like mental health medications, like antidepressants, anti-anxiety. I was experiencing like like a really crazy amount of sadness and anxiety in my life to where I needed to be medicated. And it's a great perspective of like, putting in the work. It's not going to be an easy road for anyone. Like Josh, you guys know I've struggled with this since I was like 14 years old, and to finally be at a point in my life where it's, oh, I get it now. Like I get the hype of being alive, and things that used to put me down and make me throw in the towel and I wouldn't be able to self-regulate. Now I'm just like, this is a bump in the road, and it's so nice to be at a point where I can do that, and I can say that I'm happy and I get it. Yeah, I feel I and that's not to say there's never going to be bumps in the road down the line, but like I know I have the tools to self-regulate and I'm aware of how blessed I am in this moment, and I feel like, sorry, I'm yapping.
No, this is the whole point of the podcast. Literally the whole point.
I feel like people say you don't know what you have until it's gone. I've never understood that, because from a very young age I've been the kind of person who, like, I know exactly what I have and I know exactly how lucky I am in a moment. I think my senior quote in like high school was like a quote from Perks of Being a Wallflower of, these will all be stories someday. Like I was very aware that I was young and that I was a teenager and that you only go through that once. And now, like, I'm aware of how lucky I am to live in the house that I live with the rent that I pay and the money that I'm now making. I feel very blessed. I'm very happy.
I have 2 questions. I think around your birthday is a really, really good time to sit and reflect about where you are in life right now. For your the last calendar year of you being a human and going around the sun, like, what do you feel like biggest lesson was? And we talked about this last night, but and that, and then what are your intentions going into this next year of your life?
In the last year, I feel like I've done a lot of self-growth with my family, especially. In the past was like, I don't need them. I can find my own family, like, found family. And I've gotten to a point where I've accepted that I do want a relationship with my family, and that means that I have to put in a certain level of work. And we were talking about this last year. Like, I'm a twin, for those who don't know, listeners, Josh knows. I'm a twin, and my sister and I were no contact last year. So like our birthday came and went, and I hadn't spoken to her. I hadn't spoken to my dad at all. And to reflect on that now and be like, no, like, I'm so excited to get to wish her a happy birthday despite her differences. She did share a womb with me, and we sat down and had a conversation of what can we do to make this relationship work. And I almost feel like that provided me with a certain amount of compassion that I didn't have before. And I realized that's what I was lacking. When we were in town for Christmas recently, she was being terrible. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, being home brings out the worst in me. And then I paused and I had like an aha moment of where I was like, if it brings out the worst in me, perhaps it brings out the worst in her too. Maybe I'm not alone in this. And then I was like, well, damn it. Now I have to have compassion for her. Now I know that maybe this isn't her. Maybe this is her kind of reverting to our 16-year-old self the same way that I do. And so I feel like in the last year I've grown a lot. We also talked about living on an island makes me care so much less about what's going on around me and more so on working on myself. And that kind of has stayed. I feel, and Josh, like, you guys knew me in my youth, but I feel like I was the person who I needed to have my nose in everything, and I needed to know what was going on with everyone, and needed to make my business known. And now I'm like a grow in silence sort of person. Like, I don't need to give my opinion. I don't need to have everyone know what's going on. And it's been very nice. Like, it's been so peaceful to do that and to not feel this, like, I find the validation in myself now, so I don't feel a need to look for it externally. So, and for this future year, intentions are really just like set this foundation. My word of intention for 2024 has been decisions.
You mean
2025 has been decisions. What's the best decision that I can make for myself?
Yeah.
And that's because I sometimes struggle with the small things, like waking up early for the workout class. I'm like, I just ask myself the question, like, what's the right decision here? You're not going to say here, cancel your class and not go and then feel guilty about it later. the good decision would be to go. Or like at night when I get home and I'm too tired to wash my face, brush my teeth, well, what's the right decision here? What's the good decision for you? So that's what I've been doing this year.
Decisions.
Yeah. So that's me. Sorry I yapped.
It's funny because the tattoo I'm thinking about getting is like the Tony Robbins quote, which is, it's the moments of decision that your destiny is shaped.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think that was on our alumni t-shirts.
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's been last year, my goal was to completely eradicate anxiety, and I did. Not obviously, anxiety still lives there, but just not to give anxiety control. And it's one of those things like you do something for 66 days, it becomes a habit, and so it becomes second nature. That's like where I'm at, and same thing here. We're almost at 66 days of decisions, and it just it forms, it happens, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
The anxiety thing reminds me of this thing I used to tell Steph. There's also another friend from the podcast. I think she was on episode 16, where it's like anxiety is going to happen. These emotions are going to happen and they're going to live there. But it's like if you're driving a car and you're in the driver's seat, like anxiety or whatever emotion, negative emotion you have, like that emotion can still hang out in the car. But it can't control the windows, it can't control the radio, it can't drive, it can't do navigation. It can still sit there and it can still be there, and that's totally okay. It can come for the ride, but it can't be in any sort of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My therapist and I, Anne, love you, miss her. One thing that we really worked on was like A, grounding techniques, but then B, it's like, what are you so stressed about? Like what are you so anxious about right now? And so then I'll talk myself through it, and then I'm like, okay, on the opposite end, let's say it's something at work. Let's say I mess something up at work. I would freak out and convince myself that I was going to get fired and blah, blah, blah. And so it's, what are you so stressed about right now? Well, I messed up at work. I'm scared I'm going to get fired. Okay. Are there any signs that point to you being fired? Nope. Did you talk to your boss and apologize? Yep. Have you done your best up to this point? Also, yes. What are we stressed about? And obviously, that's a lot easier said than done. The beginning of that was a lot harder. I would just kind of let myself spiral. Whereas now it's just like stopping the spiral. I think I experienced what would have been an anxiety attack. Like for the first time in a while, I was like at the doctor's office, but dealing with stuff at work, and there was a lot going on in that moment. And I like let myself spiral, and I was like, ew, like what the heck? I'm the driver. I'm the driver, not you. And my doctor is great actually, so he distracted me. And then by the time I left the doctor's office, I was like, yeah, don't know what that was about. Like, I'm the driver, go away. And so, again, very much easier said than done. Like this has been pretty much 10 years of me doing this work to finally get to a point of, oh, I get it. I get life now. So.
Yeah. Can I just say, the entire time you were talking for the last 10, 15 minutes or so.
Sorry. Don't
No,
be
no, no,
sorry.
please,
This is like the
please,
whole
'cause
point of the podcast.
what I was about to say is I could listen to it all week, all year, because it made me so happy. You're one of my favorite people in the world of all time. And to see you in such a good place and kind of with all these different mechanisms and so grounded, it's so beautiful to see. And we don't talk much. Like me and Sasha, we talk every week, of course.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to hear this. It's really beautiful. And I think one thing I wanted to say as well is that it's so interesting how all three of us, I think, it sounds, gone through these periods of uncertainty and different trials and issues throughout our 20s. But I think that's what our 20s are for. People talk about how difficult it is to get through your 20s and how there's so many ups and downs, but our 20s really are for learning what makes us tick, what mechanisms help us, and what the best route to life is. And it really sounds like in your current position in life, you've really figured that out and you've used your 20s to your benefit.
Not completely, not all the way figured out yet, but
Of course, and none of us have it completely figured out.
yeah, but like
what I'm
building that foundation.
Exactly, you've got a strong foundation, and I think the people who come out of their 20s, the best are the people who learn from the lessons that we're taught. And we're taught so many lessons throughout our 20s, right? So many lessons. The people who learn from them and instead of taking them as trials and as problems, instead they're lessons, and they're the people who will thrive in their late 20s and their 30s and from life there onwards. So it makes me really happy to hear that Sounds like you're one of those people.
And I don't know. I feel like there was never like a question of getting to this point, but I again have only very recently, for the first time in my life, realized like this is what other people experience, and they've spent their whole lives feeling this way. Like, they've spent their whole lives feeling, oh, life is good. This is what life can be like, and to just be like to have gone from such a low to then come out on the other side and be like, whoa, like life is amazing despite its trials. Like, obviously, when I came back and I was like looking for all, like, just 6 months ago, I was in a very uncertain point in my life. I was so anxious and so scared, and like it's hard to go through a period of not unemployment, because I was employed, thankfully, but like uncertainty in finances and in your career. But I still had that beacon of, I'm not going to be unemployed. And I wasn't unemployed, but like in terms of my career, a job that aligns with my career, like I'm not going to be unemployed forever. It's going to align when it needs to. Like, it's quite literally just a matter of time. And like, just having that mentality instead of, woe is me, like I haven't gotten any job, like I'm working so hard, like blah, blah, blah. Like, it's really just, yeah, like I will say it might also be like a frontal lobe developing thing too. Because in the last kind of like year or so, I wake up and something that I like really cared about before, I'm just kind of like, why did I ever care about that? So I definitely think that as a biologist, I think about almost everything in like a scientific way. And so I do definitely think there's like a biological factor to it. But then also, same thing, biologically, 2 years ago, my chemical levels in my head were not what they should have been, and they were debilitating. And now, like, they're at a point where they're back to normal, and like I'm able to keep them up through the way that I eat, through the way that I think, through the way that I live, in a way that I wasn't able to before. It's kind of like, I always use the analogy of, you break your foot, right? Let's say you break your foot and you keep walking on a broken foot's never going to heal. If you're just like, well, my foot will heal if I keep walking on it eventually. That's never going to happen. And unfortunately, when you break your foot, you need a cast. You have a cast on for this weeks. After the cast, you might need surgery even. Cast comes off, you have to do 4 months of physical therapy to get back to a point where you use your foot the way that you used to. After almost a year of having a broken foot and going through this recovery, you're finally walking again, and you're like, wow, I don't remember what it was like to have had a broken foot. Like, it's the same idea, but it's just your brain. Like, we can't see it. I spent 10 years just in this state of agony and like suffering, like active suffering, and to now be at a point where it's like, I can remember what it was like, but I can't imagine being there again, like knowing what I know now, and like having gone through what I've gone through and putting the work that I've gone through in. And could it be very easy to switch back to that woe is me mindset? Absolutely. But it's not me anymore, and it's not who I want to be. And it's so nice.
Nice. I love that.
That's me.
So, sounds like you're doing pretty well, which is great. Sasha, how are you? How's life?
Life is lifing, dude, and I know I say that every week at this point. I think
Get it on a
every single
t-shirt.
week. Yeah, literally,
Life is lifing.
Yeah, we need like a whole list of our quotes, because some of them are really profound and some of them are just like, life is lifing, bro. How am I? I don't know. It depends on the minute. It depends on the minute. I'd say since we talked last, when was the last time well, we talked over the weekend, but then I can't remember the last time we recorded. I was in Tampa, yeah? Yeah.
About a week ago,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So since then, you'll be happy to know that my next leg of the trip, I booked 10 days alone in Zion National Park for some solitude, as prescribed by my therapist. So I didn't know where I was going to go after New Orleans, and I saw my dad this past weekend in Phoenix, and he started freaking out. First of all, spending time with my dad was not the best, but he was freaking out on me about not knowing where I was going next, and I was between a couple of options, but I ended up being like, in the same way that decisions, like you were talking about your decisions, okay, I have so many options, which I'm so blessed to have. And it's one decision is the wellness decision of solitude, and the other decision is the unhinged decision of going and partaking in an escapade that has been hurting me, basically. And I decided to go with the decision that was based more along the lines of wellness and going to Zion, going to sit in a hut, stare at some trees. I had to figure out my rules around, because I'm still going to be working. So what I might do is just put my phone on airplane mode and have a time, because I'll still be working, and then have a time where I'm just like, okay, all the tech is shut off at this point, and then I can just be alone with my thoughts or whatever I want to do. So that I don't even know if I'm looking forward to it per se. It's just something I know needs to happen at this point. Like, I feel like I've reached a boiling point with my emotions, and I feel like absolutely fucking insane. Okay, so if we're talking wheel of life, the mental health aspect has not been very good in the last like week or so. And I don't know, it's a mix of a lot of things. Like, I spent some time with my dad over the weekend, which my dad and I, we have an okay relationship. We have a good relationship sometimes, but not the best always. And we did not spend a lot of time together. He was gone in a conference all day, every day. We just basically had dinner together with one of his colleagues and then went to sleep, and that was it. And pretty much like the two nights we hung out, it was like upsetting to me, and he said shit that really upset me and like really hit me. And even just my parents in general have been on my case about a lot of things, and it's been getting to me. But it's like, I think impacted my mental health a bit, and I've been honestly feeling like pretty sad recently. Like the last like week or so, I've been feeling like I feel great, and like when I'm present in the moment of what I'm doing, I feel awesome and like very blessed to be living this life. But these like waves of sadness have been coming up, and it's like the best way I can describe it. And it's a very confusing emotion for me, and it's something I've been analyzing, but also probably overanalyzing. Our girlfriend Katie today was like, "Girl, you're overanalyzing everything. What are you doing?
Simplify.
Simplify."
Katie's,
If it feels yucky, it
is
is yucky.
we like asked Sasha a question. She was like, "Well," and I was like, "Yes or no, Sasha?" It's a yes or no question. She was like, "What? But no." But we're like, "Sasha, yes or no?" She's like, "Well," and then Katie was like, "If she's doing that, that means it's a no."
Yeah, it's true. It's really true. So I've been overanalyzing everything, but the feeling that's been coming up quite a lot, at least once a day, but honestly through the days, are waves of like homesickness, or maybe just like intense sadness, and it feels like homesickness, but then it's confusing because I'm like, I don't have a fucking home. So what am I
But you don't necessarily need a home
to feel homesick?
to feel homesick.
Yeah.
It's and we were talking about this. It's that feeling of stability. It's that feeling of certainty.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, and we like talked about, that's how I felt a lot of the time that I was in Hawaii. Like, I had a home and I was still homesick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I think that is what I've been homesick for, is like routine, stability. And it's like both realities exist at the same time, right? Where it's just like, I love my life. I love the fact that I'm here. It's a random Thursday. I'm hanging out with two of my best friends in the whole world, and I can go from place to place. Like, I was just in Phoenix with my dad, and before that I was in Tampa with Dr. fucking Leprechaun. And like, I'm so blessed to be able to have the life where it's like, where my coworker texted me, he's like, "Where are you right now? Are you still in Tampa?" And I'm like, "No, that was 2 places ago. I'm in New Orleans right now." And I feel so grateful and blessed that I'm able to live this life, and I fucking love it. I love that these crazy stories that are happening are just like my regular life. Like, I think it's super cool, but then the other reality exists at the same time, where it's like, I am someone who, I love routine. I love, like, I'm a very like disciplined person. I like my routine. I like my structure. Like, I like having a home. And like, I did give up things being on this journey. Like, I gave up consistent community. Like, I have community where I'm visiting my friends I haven't seen in a really long time, which is just such a beautiful thing. Like, people I would normally voice message or FaceTime or whatever, like, I could see you in real life. But then it's like the community I was really used to in Miami, giving that up. But it's, I don't know, it's been intense, like these feelings of sadness too, and been taking more time to like, be actively by myself, and also prescribed by my therapist. Talking to Dr. Leprechaun 50% less of the time is also probably having an impact on this as well. Like, I was finding a sense of stability and certainty in my situationship, which is like becoming less so now, which is also impacting it. But yeah, mental health wise, it's been really tough and challenging. I'd say physical health wise also, I actually, while I was in Phoenix, I worked out 3 times, 4 if you count a hike, 4 times while I was there. So much better in Phoenix, but food wise, it's really a challenge.
I know, I don't know how you're doing it. This like week, I've given myself a break from like, exercise and just because Mardi Gras hosting, and I feel that's like the one part of my life right now that I'm like literally sitting here thinking I can't wait to go to Pilates next week, just to reset.
Yeah. No, seriously, it's like I haven't been able to work out. And that's the other thing is like, I'm joining people. Like when I see people, I'm joining them on vacation. So everyone, for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, I'm joining people while they're on vacation mode. And they're like, people will be like, oh, well, this is a blah, blah, blah trip or whatever. And I'm like, for me, this is my life. And I'm still trying to find or create the balance. And it's funny, my therapist told me, like, I must have said this quote. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but balance is the thing I'm waving at when I'm running from one extreme to the other with everything I'm doing with my life. But like the physical health aspect, and I know I've been talking about this for weeks, like going and working out while I was in Phoenix was so good.
Do you have ClassPass?
I don't.
Okay, you should download ClassPass because you get like free, like you get a free trial. I think I can refer you actually to get more free credit. And there's a lot of like studios. So like ClassPass is a great way when you travel. And this is what I've done when I've traveled before too. Do you know what ClassPass is?
Yeah.
It's like a great way to like just pop into a class, and you can almost make it like I can't wait to try out every Pilates studio, like a new Pilates studio everywhere I go, or a new soul core everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And it's a really cheap way. I think you pay like $50 a month for 30 credits, and 30 credits is like 5 classes a week, at least in New Orleans. And you can almost like, challenge yourself. I want to go to a Pilates studio, or I want to go to a workout class in every new place that I visit. And it's great because you don't have to download an app for every single place. You don't have to Google a place. You just like click on the map and click yoga or click Pilates, and it'll populate. I'll show you when we're done.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get a good workout in a place that you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And where was I? I was in Tampa and I went to a workout class and I was like, this feels so good. This is something that's always been very important to me. And it's the most I've been doing has been basically like with the occasional workout, like walking basically. So yeah, physical health and mental health have not been great. Friends are doing incredible. Like I feel very loved and supported by like my friends, both virtually and in person, which has been feeling great. Family's like meh, okay. Like spending some time with my dad wasn't ideal, and my parents have kind of getting on my case, which has been really challenging for me to, because I feel there's so much going on in my own world right now, like getting pressure from my parents to like, figure out where I'm going next, or to do this or do that or do that, whatever, is like a lot for me to manage emotionally. But yeah, I'd say this week specifically, like the mental health, like physical health, this is not something new. This is something we've basically talked about every single week since we've started. Has been like the biggest overall challenge, but the mental health thing is very new. This is like something that I have not really experienced. There have been like fleeting moments of homesickness. Like I experienced it once in Melbourne as I was leaving Tampa, and like basically since then, but I haven't. This is a very new thing for me to have almost daily these like very intense, at least once a day, these very intense like sadness, homesickness waves. And they pass and they fade, but it's tough when I'm like in them, and then I'm like over analyzing, like, why do I feel this way? Blah, 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 blah. And just like wanting it to go away. But I also have to remind myself, I am fucking grieving. You know what I mean? Like still.
That too.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's completely natural to feel the way that you're feeling. As Valeria said, with a serious lack of stability, there's not kind of a solid home environment at the moment because you're traveling around, and it's going to take its toll on you eventually. And I'm surprised actually that it's taken this long to catch up to you, and it sounds like it's really is catching up to you. It's completely natural to feel this way. And then with what's been going on with your parents, I guess that ties in with it as well. And after spending that time with your dad and it was difficult, I'm sure it all kind of ties in and contributes to the way you're feeling. The one thing I will say, and I know you're probably sick of hearing this from me, is have you been meditating? No.
Well, I was in Phoenix, I did.
Okay.
Phoenix, I meditated. Not since. So meditation and movement. This is like the same thing we come back to every single fucking week.
It
Everyone,
is, but I think also with the meditation, the feelings that you're feeling, because meditation's good for so many different things, but it's also, I think, with what the emotions that you're going through right now, it will really help you process those emotions and really understand where they're coming from. So I think it's really important that you get into that habit.
Okay. Okay.
start today. We can meditate when we get home.
True. Yeah, it's funny because like the literal, not even queen of meditation, but like I have a whole ass meditation podcast and I just don't.
I was literally
Like I'm not
thinking that
walking the
today.
talk. Like seriously.
Well, and I feel like, no, I feel like it's authentic to when your life is changing. Some things you get better at, some things slip through the cracks, and like, that's just life. And it's not like, if anything, it's more authentic to be like, oh, well, this has slipped through the cracks. Let's rein it in. It's not always going to be perfect.
Mm. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The meditation. Okay. It's my homework. It's my homework this week for sure.
We'll meditate tonight. I have a sleepy time meditation that I love to do, so we
Mhm.
can do it together.
Absolutely.
Do it. I meditated today for the first time in a while. I got on
You
my, have I
did?
told you about my like spiky mat thing? Or the mat with like thousands of spikes on it that you can lie on? Not
No.
spoken about this? Okay, well, it's an acupressure mat and you lie on it or sit on it and it's incredibly fucking painful for the first like, 5 minutes, but then it just gives you this unbelievable release. And I was feeling really anxious about waiting for this job response earlier. So I just thought I'd lie down on it for 15 minutes. It's the first time I've done anything like that in such a long time. Felt so. It was such a
Yeah.
just nice release just to clear my mind. So I want to get back into the habit as well.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, meditation is the homework for sure. I had downloaded that little widget, which I thought was gonna help, but it didn't. It did for a little bit, but it's fine. I have this like the Habits app,
Mm-hmm.
and the Duolingo widget helps me so much to remember to do it. And I downloaded this Habits app widget because I'm like, oh, this will help like me do whatever. It's the same thing as Duolingo, and it's not quite the same. But yeah, meditation for sure. And hopefully the thing is just, I know it's very natural to feel the way I'm feeling. I just hate feeling this way, and I just wish the feeling would go away. Which I know is like counterintuitive, and I know it's literally not the way you're supposed to deal with your feelings. Like you're supposed to actually fucking feel them. There's like this phrase or something. It's, oh, express, don't suppress. Like when you express the emotions, like you allow them to happen the way they're supposed to, and then they go away naturally because you like feel them. For me, I'm like having this wave of like sadness or whatever, and I'm like, why the fuck am I feeling this way? And then I'm like analyzing what the fuck it is instead of just like having a good cry and letting it pass. So maybe next time these feelings of sadness come up, I just need to have a good cry and just let it pass, basically. Yeah.
Helps.
Yeah. Cool. All right, y'all. So thank you for coming on and hanging out with us.
It's been my pleasure. I love you, Josh.
I
I love you too, so that you're here and I haven't seen Josh. I love you, Josh.
I love you
I
too.
think about you quite often
Me too.
in a non-creepy way.
Right. Well, yeah, also, me too.
All right, y'all. We love you, Josh. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.